Good morning. I am Steve Weber, and I am the host of the American Gumption Morning Show. And I'm broadcasting with my broadcast partner, Spirituality Gone Wild, and proud to be part of that network. And you can also watch the show on the American Gumption Facebook page and also the American Gumption YouTube channel. So that's where we stream every morning, typically 5 days a week. Sometimes we take a day off. But we typically go Monday through Friday, and we broadcast from 10 to 11 a.m. on the East Coast, or 3 to 4 in England. And I mention that just because our guest today, Natalie Coleman, is coming to us from across the pond. So she'll be joining us in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes from now. All righty. So yeah, exciting day. It's Tuesday, October 14th. Wait, is that right? No, October 13th. I had it 13th in my mind, and I wrote it down. I wrote it down the 14th. So it's October 13th. All right, lucky 13. And yeah, show number 49. Can you believe it? Tomorrow's 50. So we'll make a big deal out of that, I guess. Or maybe we won't. I don't know. So anyway, today I mentioned Natalie Coleman will be joining us. She comes back to the American Gumption Morning Show for the third time. So about a month ago, we had Natalie on 1 week and then another week, and now she's coming back again. And her story is from darkness into the light, and it's a story of recovery. And we went, well, I'll just introduce her and tell you what that's all about when we get to it. But that's coming up. And the monologue today is it's going to be about our environment. Now, not the environment of the earth and the world, although that certainly can be a part of the conversation in a bigger sense. But I'm talking about your physical environment that you live in, your place and your space. So how do you keep the space all around you and the place that you live? And the place you live can be in, it can kind of expand out into a state, and then it can even expand out into a country, and then the environment can be the entire world too. But I'm mostly interested in space and place. So that's what I'll be focusing on in my monologue today. Now, upcoming, we have Brenda Reese joining us tomorrow. And Brenda is a speaker and a coach, and her brand is radical forgiveness, or her topic, or what she really helps people with is in forgiveness. So that's coming up tomorrow. That's going to be a great conversation. And I know Brenda very well, actually. And so she's actually coached me on some of the forgiveness things that I've worked through, challenges. All right. Thursday is Lauren Archer, and Lauren is going to tell us about meditation basics and heart coherence. So that's going to be a fun conversation. If you've done some meditating, you'll be able to pick up some things that will help you in your meditation practice. And if you're brand new to it, we'll teach you the ABCs, or the 1, 2, 3s of how to get started with it. And also heart coherence, we'll touch on that too. Those are big topics. And, we may end up, Lauren may end up coming back and joining us on for a couple times to go through all of the things that she is an expert on. Friday is still to be determined. And then next week, we have 3 guests scheduled: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And we have 2 guests for the week after that, the last week. So we are just rolling right along with our scheduling of guests. So, alrighty, that's it. So now Brandon Schaefer is going to join us any minute now. And I was all ready to introduce him. So he'll get here. You know how Brandon is. He just comes rolling in, and a little bit like a hurricane, and jumps in, but we'll expect him momentarily. So let's see. In the meantime, I don't have a movie life lesson plan, but maybe I can just ad lib one. Let's see. What do we want to talk about with since it's going to be a monologue about place and space, think of all the places and the spaces that Forrest Gump had in his life. When, first it was the home, Greenbow, Alabama, the home that he grew up in. That's how we first met him. And that was the environment. That was the place. And his space was, in his room as a boy. And then, of course, he went off into college, and we don't know too much, but we imagine him living in a dorm. He was part of the football team. And then, of course, in the Army, we got to see the barracks that he lived in when he was in basic training. And as it went on, and then he's out in the jungles in Vietnam. And then, of course, he comes after his army days, he comes back home and he's living in, he's living back at his house. Well, no, actually, he went and lived on the shrimp boat there for a couple of years. So he kept changing his place and his space as he went through life. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that in my monologue. Now, I do see that Brandon has arrived, and he was there. He disappeared. He looks like he's alive. I could take a wild chance and just play his theme song. In fact, I think I'm going to do that. We're going to welcome Brandon. We're ready for him. All right, let's just tune this thing up.
Stevie!
Brandon, welcome to the American Gumption Morning Show here on Tuesday, October 13th. What do you have for us?
Oh, man. I have been working hard all morning long. I am tuned up, fired up. I am ready to go. What I'm talking about today is taking the necessary step. Second, your eyes open, right? From the second, even before they open up, to do whatever it takes to get in the proper mindset. Your mindset is going to be what determines your success level, right? So if you wake up and start talking to yourself negatively, hey, I'm not going to be good today, or hey, I'm going to be fearful today, or any of these types of things, it's going to be very difficult. So what you need to do instead is get in that proper mindset immediately before your feet even hit the floor. Get in the right mindset. If you have something inspirational that you can read, if you have some type of literature that helps keep you on track, whatever that is, commit to doing it first thing in the morning. The other piece that I have is, life is not easy, right? And then what I talk about a lot of times is that mindset. Life is not easy. Situations arise, family, friends, kids, parents. That's why it's so important for the mindset. And that's why what Steve does here every single day, 5 days a week, is awesome, right? Because it helps you with your mindset. And when you can help other people with their mindset, it helps you with your mindset. So it comes down to commitment. So commit, be like Steve, be like me, and keep doing it on a daily basis. And that's all I have for you today, Steve.
Brandon, I love it. Now, I had a guest the other day, Scott Stanfield, and he talks about like beginning your day when you go to bed. So he transitions, like when he hits the pillow at night, that starts his next day. So the sleep part is so important. So when he wakes up, he's fired up and ready to go. And I just thought that that was a neat way to think about it, because we all think about our day. We think about sleep as the end of our day. He's saying, let's think about sleep as the beginning of our day. Anyway, just another idea.
Yes, success is in the setup and the fortune is in the follow-up. Success is in the setup and the fortune is in the follow-up. So great to be here, Steve. I so appreciate it, man. I love your inspiration. And I truly mean what I say. And this is one of the highlights of the week. So thank you, man.
Thanks, Brandon. We'll see you next week.
All right, brother. Thank you. Bye.
All right. I love Brandon stopping in on Tuesday mornings and helping out. If you need help with your business, and specifically if you need help with getting your business to, have the tools and the technology tools to communicate and talk with each other. We all have a ton of tech tools. Getting them to communicate and connect to each other. That's what Brandon's business is. Simple business help right there on the banner scrolling along. There it is. Whoop. There we go. And look up Brandon and have his team help you connect this tool with that tool technology wise. All righty. Well, that's there it is. Our simple motivation from Brandon Schaefer. Thank you, Brandon. All righty. So now I want to shift gears and get into my monologue portion. And it really has to do with space and place. And this weekend, I ended up sending out my weekly email, or really it's a blog post. And what it does is it's if you just go to American Gumption, you'll see it right there on the front page. It's called the Weekly Gump Date. And, sign up, get those emails once a week. I have a list of the shows that were past, and I have the list of the shows that are coming up. But then I also go through some kind of a conversation and topic, some kind of a blog post. And so last week I was reminded of the fact that 1 year ago I left Montana, and so my friend Tamara Fleming, my coach Tamara Fleming, who really helped me get rid of the end of the stuff that I had when I was leaving Montana. And it really coincided with the brand that she's building, the meaning of space and the Space Love Club. And so anyway, I ended up diving in and working with her, and it was really quite beneficial. And that's what that blog post was all about. Now, her deal is that our space and our place, it can affect the environment, and it can affect us and how we perceive things. And so her idea is to, get rid of things that do not energetically make you feel good, and only keep those things that energetically lift you up. And so anyway, yesterday we were talking, and so she ended up saying, oh, your background is fascinating. And I was like, oh yeah, great. And I was pretty happy and pretty pleased with my background that I have back here. And I've talked about it. I showed some of the things there. Anyway, she starts rearranging it for me. She goes, take this and put it over there. It started out with the shoe. There's the shoe there. And the shoe was down, I think it was down, was down in this end here yesterday. And that's where it was. And so she says, put that up in front of the picture up there. Move this out. What's that thing, a book there? And the book that now is over there is up, was up there. So anyway, she starts rearranging the whole thing. And initially I'm like, oh man, but she says, your backdrop has to tell the story of what, you want it to tell. So long story short, I end up rearranging things and moving things around a little bit. I don't feel like it's complete, but it'll be complete in the next couple of days. And so the idea being that the backdrop of what is here has to tell the story. Now I'm appearing every day, so I want the space and the place that I'm in to tell a quick story. People, a picture tells 1,000 words. Well, the first story is the story of Gumption and Gump. And of course, I was Forrest Gump for 15 years. And so then this will become kind of that symbol, but it's like kind of the transition into Gumption. And so then over here, I had the Montana picture. And what's funny is I wrote about how I left Montana a year ago, and it was a great, perfect symbolism of okay, 1 year ago. And that was a beautiful piece of art, and I liked it. And it was one thing I took from Montana to remember it. So I threw it up there and put it in there. But the question that Tamara challenged me to think about was, is that representing your future, or is that some kind of a memory of the past? And of course, it was a good memory of the past. I was thinking, okay, I liked Montana. Montana was a great time for me. I don't want to trade that in for anything. That was a wonderful experience. So I had it up there, representing what was going on. And she challenged me to think, well, is that leading you into your future, or is that holding you into the past? And of course, the Montana story isn't necessarily all happiness and joy. I mean, a lot of good things happened from it, but there was also a lot of, it was learning how to, redefine myself and overcome, lots of disappointments and, and develop a brand. When I started my speaking career in Gumption, I had no brand. I had no message. I mean, I was an entertainer. And so, when I think of Montana, there's all of this, this struggle energy that was wrapped up in it. and survival, but there wasn't necessarily thriving and there wasn't future. And ultimately, I decided I needed to leave Montana. I needed to leave Montana and go back out into the world. And I even wrote in my blog post last week that, and I had said it many times, that I felt like if I stay in Montana, I'm hiding. So my time of resting and rejuvenating and cleaning up a lot of the past, that was what Montana was all about. But now it was time to go back out into the world. So so I'm like, well, that was a good time. I like that. I have good memories of it. But then she said, well, why don't you put pictures up of your RV? And of course, I don't have the RV yet. I'm going to do a screen share. Let's go ahead and do that real quick here. Here we go. I think that's there it is. Yeah. So this is just a mock-up I made. I put the American Gumption brand on it, and I put the other Gumption brands all across there. And but imagine, and so this was just kind of something I did to sort of visualize what might happen. And I've got some potential sponsors that I've kind of mocked up some RVs with their logos and their brands on it. And so, this is how I'm visualizing this. So Tamara said, why don't you put the RV up in the corner? There it is, right there, right where that suitcase blank is right now. And, make that part of what that part can be the future, and let your place and your space draw you into where you want to go. And the theory and the belief is that if you surround yourself with what you want to create, and you show that, subconsciously that'll be working on you and drawing your future. And if you keep the things that represent your past, well, then subconsciously they can influence you and keep you stuck in that past. And so anyway, I was initially, while I'm having this conversation, I'm like, well, let me just take the Montana thing down. And I thought I'll just put it up after I finish talking to her. But I ended up saying, you know what? I'll give this a try. We're going to move forward. We're going to create something different there. So anyway, that's really, I think that's really all I wanted to mostly just say about this, is that, your space and your place can be something that, helps you draw you to the future. Now, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks a whole lot about, your mind and how we are the placebo, and how, what we think about ultimately can come to be. And he adds a lot of science into it. So I really like that. I like the the theory part backed up by some science stuff. And so Dr. Joe ended up writing a blog post, and Tamara sent a couple of blog posts, sent them to me, and they talked all about this idea. And what's a phrase he uses? Do I have it written down here? But it's like, it's a helping hand to get you there. So if you just rearrange your environment a little bit, it's like that helping hand to bring you forward into it. And you want to not be, if you have a whole lot of things in your life that reflect everything you've done, that can be wonderful, but is that necessarily helping you go forward, especially if you have powerful dreams of doing something more in the future? Surround yourself with those. That's really, I think, the message from it. So the last thing I'm just going to say is, let's see. So this is just kind of fun. I don't know what this is going to be, but look at it. This is an old suitcase I had, and it was destroyed. It was like falling apart, and I broke it apart, like to throw it in the trash. And I went, I'm going to save this thing. And this is years ago, and I just saved it. And I thought, well, maybe I could tack some things on there. And make that all work. So, and then the ping pong paddle had been over in the other corner. Now it's back over in that corner. So we'll see. I'm a work in progress. We're just going to make this all work and come together. All righty. So that is all I really want to say about, place and space. Tamara is scheduled to come and join us in a couple of weeks, and we'll get into this conversation more. And she's the type of person that she could be a guest once a week for the next year, and we wouldn't know everything that she knows about this subject. So anyway, we'll wrap that up. Now, let's shift gears and let's invite our guest to come and join us. Now, this is the third time that Miss Natalie Coleman has been on the American Gumption Morning Show. Natalie, welcome back for the third time.
Woo! Thank you so much, Steve. So good to see you again.
How are you doing today? You're in a log cabin.
I am. How cool is that? I mean, I know we're global and everything, but now we're proper in the country. So we're here visiting we're here with some friends. The boys have got a bit of golf on the go, and the girls are sitting, around a fire, drinking tea, having a good natter. We've got some stew on the go that we had last night. So it's just a few days of getaway. But being the good old English weather, it's just chucking it down with rain. So what can we do? But it's too lovely. It's just too lovely, very quiet and peaceful.
It's a beautiful environment that you're in, and it reminds me of Montana when I lived there. Log cabins was a big thing back in the mountains of the West.
Wow.
So very good. Well, good. Enjoy your holiday while you're there. Yeah. Now, let's go ahead and get back into our conversation. I'm going to just reread your bio. I rewrote it just a little bit, but let me just read what I say about you, and then we'll get into the conversation. And of course, because you're the third time guest, there's no special theme song for you today. I'm sorry, my dear.
Steve. Well, I feel special enough coming back for the third time, so that's good for me.
Very good. All righty. So Natalie Coleman is in love with this thing called life. But it wasn't always that way. In fact, 4 to 6 years ago, Natalie was in a very different place. She was in darkness. Her path into the dark was a long journey, 20 plus years, her teen years and all of her adult life. But in 2016, she was able to return to the light through the love of family, professional help, and her own awakening or rebirth. Today, Natalie is on a mission to shine her light on others. One of the ways she does this is by hosting her own weekly show on Speak Up and Empower. Speak Up and Empower is an online membership-based community of women and men who are heart-centered and are searching for more in their lives. Natalie's show is Real Talk Steps to Serenity with Natalie Coleman. It airs on Monday at 8 p.m. in the UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 12 noon Pacific. Natalie is originally from Johannesburg, South Africa, but has called Kent, England, her home for at least a couple of decades. She is the mother to a 17-year-old lovely young lady and the wife to an immensely patient and kind man who's out on the golf course as we speak.
Not right now, but yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, so Natalie Coleman, welcome back for the third time to the American Gumption Morning Show.
Wow, I really do feel so honored, so privileged, and it's just so lovely to see you again, Steve. And thank you so much for having me back and your lovely introduction. I feel really
who is that girl, Natalie? She sounds like a pretty fabulous person, doesn't she?
Was in a bit of a bad place a few years ago, but goodness gracious, Steve, life is just getting better and better. With every day, it really is. It's just I just feel so blessed. The amount of people that I'm meeting in my life, and people like you, people on in Speak Up and Empower, but just in life in general. Mm-hmm. Wow, I've been so busy with work over the last sort of month has been pretty intense with a lot of travel, and I've really got so I've been like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles each week, which is fine. I love to drive, and but when I get to my places of work, which are contracts where the real work gets done by the real people who are the backbone of our business, that so often get overlooked. And the last week I felt an inspiration like I haven't had before, because, I was going into, these workplaces where our hygiene and janitorial and cleaning staff come to work at 5 o'clock in the morning, pouring with rain. Everybody's normally tucked up under their duvets, and they're there with a smile on their face, proud of the work that they're doing. All of them have got a story. All of them have got a story. And just, in a highly competitive really competitive retail and corporate environment to, I think people are forgotten what actually goes on behind the scenes, and especially in this time of COVID, where cleanliness, hygiene, disinfection, and all that is so important. And, just meeting these people from such a different range of backgrounds and from different parts of the country, hearing, just like hearing their stories, not that they had to share it with me, but, it was so inspiring, and very humbling, very, very humbling. And yes, I had a great week. And these are just the joys of life at the moment, just, getting out there and really appreciating my fellow human beings. So it's been a great few weeks since I last saw you. Busy, but swell.
Well, that's thank you for bringing us up to date. And I wanted to, I just wanted to remind people who maybe haven't seen the first couple of episodes, just a little bit what we talked about on those first two, and then we'll dive into some of the good stuff. And what was funny was when we talked about doing this, we thought, oh, we're going to do a little bit of a little bit of the dark, and then we'll jump into the light because the light is so much more fun. But the way it worked out was the first show that we did on September 16th, and that was show number 32 for people who want to just search it on the American Gumption YouTube channel. Show number 32, I just kind of turned you loose, and your story of the darkness had to be told in completion. And that was really what we focused on then. And it was I'll just encourage people to go back to listen to it, because you pulled back the curtain and you showed people what was going on in your life. And I remember you saying something to the effect of, you were really like dying at that point in time. The life was gone from you. The abuse, or the abuse you were doing to yourself, the addiction and the alcohol and the drugs had put you in a place where, you were just basically spiraling, like down the drain. And fortunately, you recovered from it. So anybody who wants to hear that part of the story can go back and listen to it. And then we came back in round two, just like a couple days later, a week later rather, and that was show number 35, and that was broadcast on September 22nd. Again, if you want to go search that out. And I had a whole long list of things to get into, but we kind of had to, we kind of reframed the story, the darkness part of the story, and we kind of started to spin it into the light, and then freedom became the kind of the dominant conversation point, because that was I think the single one word, or the biggest thing that can describe what you now experience in your life day in and day out. So we still have a whole bunch of other ideas that we could talk about. But how does as far as the recap of what I just said, is there anything else you'd like to add to that to help anybody who's maybe watching for the first time?
Yeah, no, Steve, that's absolutely perfect, and you've been so generous to allow my story kind of evolve from where it should have evolved from. Because what we're conscious of here, what I'm conscious of, is people that are experiencing, or know somebody that might be experiencing, tremendous pain in self-destruction, in addiction, in isolation, just to let them have a point of reference, have a point of identification, and know that getting out of that place is possible. This is the message that I just want people to embrace, and to just know that it is possible to come out of the darkness and into the light. And, no matter how hopeless, how far down you are, and how ill, it is possible to recover. And recovery looks different for a lot of people. It might be from loss, it might be from addiction, whatever it is. but it's possible. And I just want to add to something that you said very briefly there, Steve. We spoke about the alcohol, which was kind of what nearly killed me, but also at that time was severe anorexia nervosa and bulimia, the two combined. Now, that is a toxic, highly toxic, deadly combination. And if there's anybody watching who knows anybody who might be suffering from that, again, you know, even those two evils and those two lies living in your head can be overcome. So that's all. That's just what I wanted to say, Steve. Before we move on to all the good stuff.
Yeah. So, well, good. Well, thank you. It's a, it's a journey. It's not something that happens, instantly. But I guess what I saw there in when I was listening to you is that, the real you is this like alive, bubbly, happy person. That was who you were as a child. And somewhere along the line, you just start, we get sold a bill of goods. We get convinced that, there's some other answer, something external is going to make us feel better. We're experimenters. We want to, experience life in all of its glory. And then you end up, going into, a dark hole where, addiction takes over and robs that joy and that life that you're now experiencing. So when we talk about from darkness into the light, let's focus on the light, because that's the
good baby. Let's do it.
All right. So now I listened to a recent show that you did. You do your weekly show, and let me change my banner to there we go. There we are. Yes. Natalie Coleman, Real Talk Steps to Serenity. So I was listening to Natalie Coleman, Real Talks to Serenity, and she did something brilliant. She said, let's just go through what the light looks like from A to Z. And she picked the letter A, started at A, and talked about, I think awakening must have been one of the words, the A words.
There's so many. Went
through the whole thing. So that was a great show. Anybody can go find that show and listen to it. But I wanted to, I thought what might be fun is if we just let you, because this is your story, pick some of the, pick a letter and then share a little bit about what words, share the light. And then what might be fun is, because I've gone through my own experience, I'll chime in and say something. How's that sound?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, you pick a letter. Let's bounce off each other. You pick a letter, I pick a letter.
All righty. Let's see. How about let's start with H.
Each.
H. As in,
H. Sorry, my humble.
I was speaking American. I'm sorry.
H. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, number one, hope. The gift of hope. From hopelessness to hopeful. And this is why we do what we do, Steve, giving people hope. But, and you and I have spoken about this before, Steve, as well. The health, H for health, that is just priceless. Taking my, living in that place of addiction and darkness and everything, just take your health for granted so much. And there's only so much that a body can take. And man, I haven't felt healthier in, I can't really remember how long. So what we're talking about, the gifts that recovery gives, and that gift that just keeps on giving. So H for health and hope.
And you're right about the health, because I did speak about that. That was that was one of the biggest changes in my own life. About a month into my deciding that alcohol needed a break. And my journey was a little different in terms of how I got there, but it's all the same. I decided I just needed a break, and I didn't decide that I was quitting forever. I just said, I'm taking a break. And I didn't know if it was going to be a few weeks or a few months, or I just said, but I'm taking a break. And so I did. And in a month, I suddenly started to feel different. My body started to feel different. And that was really that was a turning point, because suddenly I was like, oh my gosh, there's a real benefit to this. And then at 5 months, I woke up one morning and I went, oh my gosh, I had a really deep sleep. And I realized at that moment that I had been sleeping better over the last few months, improving, but that I didn't, I hadn't slept well in years and years and years and years and years. So, and a friend of mine, Scott Stanfield, who was on the show this week, said,
so let's roll on from there.
Okay, go.
How about we do this? Okay.
Go ahead. You go.
So we've gone health, and you were speaking about having got your health back, started to sleep. E for energy. Did you ever think you'd have so much energy?
Yeah. So
E for energy. That is just whoa, because we are energy, and really, it's all it's energy is our life. As soon as we start running out of that energy, be it mental, physical, spiritual, we just cease to grow. We cease to move forward. God, I was saying, people say to me, you're like the Duracell bunny. You just don't flim and stop, girl. But yeah, energy. So that rolls straight into that. And you said that you, because this is going to roll into the next letter, okay? So you said that you have a good night's sleep. Health, sleep, energy, and R, after a good night's sleep, refresh. Refresh. And what I'm talking about here with the R is starting every day as a new day, hitting the refresh button, because I was so used to hitting the effort button, as so many people do who are caught in the madness, So now it's the refresh button every day, and it's amazing, mostly, to leave that stuff behind. New day. And now I'm going to take that onto W. Yeah?
Okay.
Wonderment. Because I go to bed at night excited to wake up in the morning like a bit of a child, but that wonderment every morning when I wake up, I don't have that noisy head that feeds the negativity into me and those self-destructive thoughts. And W for wonderment, that almost like a childlike amazement of life. And I heard one of my fellows were talking, and they said that they feel the same. They feel like a child, and all they want to do is jump on a bed all the time, because that's just how energized and in love with life and almost new and free they feel. So W for wonderment. Love that one. Where are you? Come back here, Steve.
Oh yeah. Well, let me just
give me a letter.
Let me just respond to energy. I was in my previous life, what I was doing was, I was taking 2 steps forward every day and 1 step backwards. And what happened was at the evening, I was, after I would have a few beers, there was no more energy left to do anything creative. Now what happens is after dinner, I don't do a lot. My energy is through the day, but I'm not taking a step backwards each and every day. And so I am getting a better night's sleep, and I am waking up with more energy. And of course, with that energy comes the ability to be curious and being the student. Yeah. And I've defined this show as being the student, learning from the experts. And that's really a form of wonderment. So, and that wouldn't have happened. I would not have been able to do this had I been still doing that routine of trying to effort through 2 steps forward each day and then taking a big step backwards once every day. So you're just making little tiny baby steps at the best,
Going nowhere.
Yeah. Treading
water.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
All right. So what's our next letter? Whose turn is
you were talking about. Say again?
Whose turn is it to pick a letter?
Oh, I think I would jump in at you. It's you to choose a letter. Let's talk a letter.
Well, I want to touch on R. Did we do R yet? I want to talk about relationships. Yeah,
yes.
and new relationships.
Whoa.
Because what happened is
I like this, Steve.
The willingness to go out and make new friendships and relationships when you're not feeling 100%, you're not going out there doing that. You're kind of hiding. You got a wall around you protecting where you're going. At least that's how it was for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you and I have had this conversation around relationships, and we've always said we're going to talk about relationships and everything. So brilliant. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. R for relationships. Absolutely. And how different do they look now? I suppose, number one, never really wanted to cultivate them because I was always, I always wanted to, certainly towards the end, I just wanted to isolate, live in my own misery, my own self-beration, be unconscious, through alcohol, through, all of that all the time. So there was no relationship, and I certainly didn't have one with myself. It was just my relationship was with the bottle and self-harm, really. But whoa, when the light starts to shine, I have like my relationship with my daughter, let's say. I used to think I was a great mother, but really, I wasn't. I wasn't a bad mom. I wasn't an abuser, but I wasn't present. I wasn't there. I wasn't attentive. I wasn't truly there for my daughter. And, she's going to be 17 in 2 days' time. And, God, what a beautiful relationship we've got. I feel so honored to be her mum. My relationship with my husband, it obviously took a battering during the days of, him having to watch me kill myself, it's physically what, and going through all of that together, and it just puts a whole new perspective on our relationship, having experienced such dire circumstances. Our relationship looks totally different now to what it did, let's say, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, certainly 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And it's not easy because there's a lot of forgiveness that needs to go on, and a lot of amends that need to be made, certainly from my part. But yeah, there's that. And then and that is such an important relationship to work on before I'd run away from a relationship. And it's easy to do that, but I think I just understand the value of love, which isn't just, a passionate love. It is a love of friendship. We've got history. And we, it's just so hard to describe, but there is so much to be grateful for the history that we've got. And relationships are hard work, and instead of running away, let's work on them. And it does go up and down, but you know what? It's worth it. And
you also, let me take the relationship to more of a generic level and outside. You had shared with me that you didn't have relationships with women. You did have relationships with men, but both of them have changed. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah.
A little bit on the spot question, but go for it.
No, absolutely. No, you know what? I'm kind of not alone in this because, the more people I meet and the more I'm in recovery, it seems to, it happens. I could not befriend women very well. Recovery has taught me to love women, and I'm developing the most beautiful, beautiful circle of friends of women who I truly love. But I think being an addict and being someone that can't be themselves and has to mask their way through life, Okay, so there's no authenticism. Manipulation was always a big part of my life, and I could manipulate men and couldn't manipulate women. Yeah, so I found that my friendships were always with guys, and I'd always, and I still have beautiful male friends, absolutely, but I tended to sort of nurture male friendships as I was growing up, and that because I knew that I could manipulate them, and I couldn't do that to women, and they wouldn't take my shit, and I was part of ruining some very good friendships that I had with women because they saw through me. And they wouldn't take my nonsense. And these are hard truths about my past that I've had to look at. Badly behaved, and always thinking that they were the problem, that they're the reason that the relationship of a girlfriend had broken up. But I had a massive part to play in it. Sometimes partly theirs, but I had a huge part to play because I was just so manipulative. And it's just not like that anymore.
You developed, and I'm saying this from my own experience, being an impersonator, a professional impersonator. I had an act, and that act was basically to behave in a certain way. And your act worked with men, but it didn't work with women. And now, because you were able to give up that act, you have developed friendships with women, and you don't have to pull the act with the men any longer either.
And I don't have to what?
You don't have to pull the act with the men either.
No. Well, that's the thing. Because for authenticity, and acceptance of me. Oh, it's only taken like 47 years to figure out who I am, but kind of found it, kind of like it. I'm digging it, and this is me. And so I don't have to be something to somebody, Steve, but it's all progress. It's not perfection, but what amazement all the time that awakening to and learning. So I love that. I love that the R for relationships.
Yeah. Now, F. Well, it was partly A, but fear is, we spend a lot of time living in fear, and you just talked about that a little bit. But the absence of fear, I don't know if that's an A or an F, but take it from the, just talk a little bit about the fear part.
Yeah. So absence of fear. Yeah, because fear very often is the driving force behind so much dysfunctional behavior, behind addiction, behind anger, behind jealousy, behind all of those, non-helpful behaviors. Fear, absolutely. So I suppose, the other side of that is courage.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Being able to move forward in spite of there being fear. Courage, C for courage. And that's what whoa. And that courage leads to a can-do attitude. That is wicked. Like nothing's too much problem, and maybe sometimes I don't know when to say no, because I know that that's what I still kind of suffer from. I do. And it affects my time management, let's say. But from a place where everything was an issue, there was so much negativity, having a can-do attitude. Oh, bring it on. And that goes with the energy, and that goes with the refresh button. And so fear and courage.
With fear, it kills wonderment.
Yeah. And the thing is, exactly. And you know what? Love can't live in the same energy space as fear.
Yeah.
Because they're so polar opposite. Alpha love, the true meaning of love, being able to live in love. And love is an expression. It's a place in which I found that I am so comfortable to live in. I can say, I love you without these sexual connotations and that, just being, I'm in love with this thing called life. And so alpha love, what a gift. Learning the diverse range of applications. Is that the wrong phrase? I don't know, but alpha love, baby. Definitely.
I got one more at least for you.
Go on.
T.
T. Well, you were talking a little bit earlier on about being the student, and you and I have spoken about this before, being teachable.
Yeah.
T for teachable. Yeah. Because having obviously known absolutely everything about everything before, no one could teach me anything. No. Arrogant to the core. Being teachable, learning something new every day. And Brandon Scheffer said that a month ago when he came on. He spoke about teachability. He spoke about, what am I going to learn today? What is there for me to improve my consciousness, my life, and other people's life? Being teachable. And I still think it's a silly made-up word, but it's a word nonetheless that I think is so applicable. And I've got a couple more for T.
Okay.
Truth. Learning what it's a big question when someone says, what's your truth? It took me a long time to try and understand that. But I'm in the process of learning what my truth is. But that had to come after learning who I am and the truth of the values by which I, will live and die. So just the truth as opposed to the lie, And T, turning up, Steve. I turn up now. I show up. I'm as consistent as I can be, reliable as I can be. So, turning up. I just quite like that. Turn up, speak the truth, and be teachable.
Yeah, brilliant. Showing up, being, living your own truth. I agree that it's these words, these lessons come in stages and in phases.
Yeah.
And it's like you need to learn to walk before you can run. Well,
that's it.
It's really like the onion analogy is that, like you had that sharp, hard crust around you, and it's very difficult to get that peeled off. But once you get that first layer off, there's only another layer and then another layer, but those layers kind of come off easily, but they still come off in layers. And so when you mentioned that the truth, you're still learning that, and it's still revealing itself.
Yeah.
That is, here I'm 4 months in my own alcohol-free lifestyle that I'm only, still peeling back layers and getting to that deeper truth that goes along. So this isn't, but I think the nice thing about this is that, we are now peeling back these layers. And when these layers get peeled back, they're very exciting. They're very energizing. They're, we have to keep our wonder and our curiosity alive, and it just generates more of it. It's like love. The more you give, the more there is. It's not like there's a limited supply. It just keeps going and going.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I love the onion. I love the onion analogy.
I have a friend that I had, a childhood friend, and I've spoke of him before, Michael, and we were friends from 11 to 16, bestest of friends. And then we, in the high school years, we drifted apart, and then ultimately I left at age 22 to go to California and hadn't seen each other for almost 40 years. And then reconnected, and we reconnected at the time that I started living alcohol free, and he had he was about 6 or 8 months ahead of me. And I saw the pictures of him before, and I saw the pictures after, and it was like he had life. He was living again. And it was quite shocking, because I saw what was basically a kind of a zombie, and then I saw a man with all kinds of life and joy. And so this happens. I've seen it now. I didn't see you before, but I love this new you. I don't think I would have liked the old Natalie as much.
I didn't like it either.
It's not a matter of being judgmental and condemning that what you're doing, because we all make our own choices, but it's a matter of, gosh, to see somebody without the life is sad. And
it was, the light was gone. I was like an old woman who was just waiting to die, and I was killing myself. And gosh, it's not like that anymore. Why, for youth, I'm feeling youthful, baby.
Yes, you look youthful. All righty.
Yeah.
We only have a couple minutes.
Fast approaching 50.
Oh, well, you're still young. You've got many.
Yeah, no, I say I've got at least another 30 years to go. At least another 30 years. Imagine what we can.
I'm at 60, and I'm thinking 30 years. So you probably have 40 to 50 years left.
Okay. We're gonna be like 80, still doing our shows. Remember those days? Remember that cabin? Log cabin.
Oh, the technology will be that much different. We'll be zoomed into the same room with each other from across the. Who knows what it'll be like. Okay. Well, good. Well, exactly. In the last minute or so, just pick a favorite letter, or pick something that you feel like you want to share with us.
Let me see. I would say, you know what? I'm gonna say V for vision, because it's Tamara Fleming, is it?
Tamara Fleming.
Tamara Fleming, okay.
Yeah.
How she's working with you on space and place, and how she's encouraging you to surround yourself with not that you want to forget the past, but things and images, and surround yourself with stuff that feeds the future, that feeds growing where you want to go. And I thought that was really so beautiful. And I think what Brandon was saying as well. He was talking about setting up the day and your mindset, and I think that, so setting up your day with a positive mindset, with expelling the thoughts that are going to drag you back, chase that vulture who sits on the headboard away, just like get your mind ready for realizing what that vision is. And I was talking about it the other day, V for vision. My life is I'm starting to see what that dream, dare to dream, starting to see what it looks like. But I know that I have got to be my authentic self, surrender to the results of whatever may happen, as long as I know that I've put in all the hard work.
I love that.
And that hard work might be uncomfortable work, and that work might take longer than I expect it to. But so be it. It's not an easy task to be patient, but I love what you're doing with your background there, and it's so exciting that RV. I want to see the RV. That's your vision. That is your vision, and stick that behind you, because that's where you're going to be in the next year or so. Man. I just so dig that.
Yeah. The idea is that what Tamara talks about is that we can keep all of our past as a memory, but what do we want to have front and center?
That's
What do we want to lead with? What do we want to do? And if we're leading with things that are just memories of our past, is that helping us to move forward?
Yeah. And that's what I wanted to finish on, Steve, because I just found that so beautifully relevant, valuable, and I love that, because I'm going to start doing that. I know I've got things around me that remind me of where I want to be, but I really need to immerse myself in all of that, as I immerse myself in friends like you and shows like this. But yeah, that was awesome. We've got about 20 more letters to get through.
Well, we always can invite you back, and but we may figure out some other topic to talk about by then. But so
there you go.
I really like, Natalie, the way that our conversation over 3 different sessions has grown, and this was really what I wanted to talk about, was to begin with, was the upbeat and the positive side of it. And so, but of course we had to show what the darkness was to have the contrast to show what the light can be. And really all you did was you returned to that innocent little girl who was born 47 years ago, and then through her first 10 years ran around with all this joy, and then somewhere along the line we get influenced, and we make choices that lead us down
and false beliefs.
Beliefs, and then
false beliefs set in.
Get out of it and break that cycle, and ultimately your story is that it is possible, and because you're showing how it's done, and I commend you for dedicating your life to talking about this, and I'm glad that I can share my story with you, and others like you who have done the same thing, and
I love it.
You guys are leading the way with it.
Yeah.
I'm just the student here, learning day in and day out. So.
Oh, it's just so, I just love your show. I love your work. I love the quirkiness, and I love the creativeness. It's just, I have so much fun when I come on your show, Steve. It's just, I look forward to it every time. It's wicked.
Thank you for recognizing the quirkiness, the Q for quirkiness part, because that is part of my brand. I love that myself. So.
I love it. It's so authentic. It's so, oh man, it's just awesome. Awesome. It's amazing.
I'll share this vision. I want somebody like Brandon to come on Mondays and on Wednesdays, and like different people who are like kind of like energetically, very different than myself, or similar in some ways. And so anyway, that I just love that little segment that he does, and I love that.
Oh, it's so awesome.
I love having the conversation that can grow over time, and people can go back and watch again show number 32 from September 16th, when we really were in the dark phase, and then show number 2, which was show 35 on September 22nd. That was the transition, and the day was fun. The day was the all the good things that we're learning,
all the great things. Yeah.
Oh, alrighty. Well, I think it's time to say goodbye. I sure do appreciate it. We'll leave it open to see if we can find a time that you can come back, and we'll share some more wisdom. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, it would be a sad month if I didn't come back on and we could catch up again.
Well, we'll have our people get together, and if we can make it work,
yes, we will.
We'll arrange that for the future. So thank you, Natalie, for joining us. And
more people call mine.
Please do watch Natalie's show on Real Talk, Steps to Serenity. It's broadcast on Monday in the UK at 8 p.m. Monday afternoons, 3 p.m. on the East Coast. But you can always watch the replay.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Lovely, Steve. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Bye. All righty. Well, that was Natalie Coleman for the 3rd time here on the American Gumption, on the quirky American Gumption morning show. So thank you so much, Natalie, for joining us, and we will see you again. Now, before I exit, let me just remind everybody that tomorrow Brenda Reese will be talking about radical forgiveness, and that's part of this. That's part of what we talked about. I mean, you can't get to the good juicy stuff that we were just talking about if you don't go through that radical forgiveness stage too. And that's what Brenda is an expert in helping people who have been holding on to something for way too long. And then on Thursday, Lauren Archer, meditation basics and heart coherence. She has studied at the Heart Math Institute. So she is really an expert in this field. So that's going to be a fun conversation. And then I have 3 interviews scheduled for next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll share what they are the next couple of days. All right, everybody, have a great day. We will see you tomorrow. And yes, and Brandon, I just noticed here, let's close out with this. Brandon comes back and says success is in the setup and the fortune is in the follow-up. Success is in the setup and the fortune is in the follow-up. So thank you, Brandon, for joining us on Tuesday mornings. Brandon Schaefer of Simple Business Help. Alrighty, folks, we will see you all tomorrow.